Good afternoon, March 9th, 2023. This is a special daily Davinci debacle and more like a daily Davinci tutorial. And as you see across the top of the screen, it says Mr. Warren's technology class. And this is for Mr. Warren's technology class. We kind of got together and thought this might be a good idea to do this, maybe inspire some of the students that may or may not be interested in video editing or may not be interested in doing YouTube or anything of that nature. But yeah, I'm going to start my timer, so I keep this at a half hour and we'll see how this goes. As you know, this is basically, it's recorded, but it's not scripted. I'm going off my memory. I'm going off what comes into my head. So this could go about anywhere. By the way, my name is Ken Stout. I have a channel called Ken Stout Live on YouTube. Obviously, as you can see right there, it says that. And I created this logo with Davinci Resolve. Let's get started, shall we? So we're going to have to bring in my icons so that I can... Well, no, I don't need the icons. I'm going to bring up my... I use OBS to broadcast on YouTube. And you get that by going to obs.com. And then it takes you to here. And then you scroll down and find your version that you want by... I'm in the wrong spot. Go to Home. Then you go to Windows. If you have a Windows machine, you have a Macintosh Mac. If you're running Linux, you click on Linux. Basic download, you click it. It downloads it, puts it in your downloads file, and you install it. So that is that. That is how I broadcast over YouTube. I use OBS. I've been using it practically since day one from about 2 years ago now. So let's get rid of that. And then this is my channel. Put in a little plug for myself, so to speak. And Davinci Resolve. This is where and what this is all about. So you go to DaVinciResolve.com. You want Blackmagic Design. You want to click on generally the top one. And you want to scroll down. Hopefully that's not blinking as it is on my monitor until you find what you're looking for, which is downloads. And I'm not seeing it. Give me a second. I'll find it. I know it's here. There we go. So you have two versions of this. You have the paid version and you have the free version. The free version's pretty powerful in itself. The paid version has a few more effects and things you can do in it that you cannot do in the free version. But you can, it just has a watermark, and to get rid of the watermark, you have to have the paid version. So I do have the paid version. I have the studio version. I used the non-studio version for a very long time, and then one of my subscribers in California sent me a PayPal and basically paid for the pay version. So you get that, you click on it, it again will download it, you get what you want, either the free version, again, Mac, Windows, or Linux, or you can pay for it. I'm not going to go through that because I already have it on my machine. And now we're just going to get out of that and get into this. So, what do? Well, once you get it downloaded, you click on your icon to start it, and it fires up. I'm going to try to make this last a half hour. I didn't write any notes down. I really haven't gotten prepared or anything for this. First thing it's going to do, if this is your first time doing it, you're going to have one box that's going to say Untitled Project. If you've got projects, as you see, I have several projects. Then you click on whatever project you want to work on. So we are going to do this from the get-go. One of the first things you want to do is click on Untitled Project. Down here in this lower right hand corner, there's a little gear icon. We all know that stands for settings. You want to click on that. and it brings up your settings. Lately, I have not been changing anything in the settings at all. What I used to change is I would change my timeline frames rate from 24 to 30. And that's because that's basically how I learned. But recently, like within the last month or so, I've been leaving it where it's at 24, and I don't have any issues with that at all. Nose itches. I guess that's a good thing. So once you get all your settings, and you can go in here and look through all these settings. Image, you can set the image. Color management, never mess with it. General options, never mess with it. Gamers, never. I'm not a gamer. So once you get everything set to your liking, you want to hit save. Now there's another set of settings up here in the upper left hand corner under Davinci Resolve, and you go to where's it at? Preferences, I think. Yeah, and this brings up another set of settings, your system settings, and then your specific user settings. So in your system settings, you have your media storage. That's where you want to store your completed projects. In my case, I have a 16 terabyte hard drive I bought strictly for storage of data. And it goes to my D drive, Davinci completed projects. And I forget, this one's set wrong. I think it goes to my classroom project I did. Then you can come down here to the video and audio. And if you have a, it's not in there, go to video plugins, it's not in there. Memory and GPU. So if you have a graphics card, I do, you want to set it to your graphics card, and it generally will find it. And it found mine, the AMD 6600. Works perfect. Got no issues with it whatsoever. So again, once you get all of your settings set, and probably the main two I would be concerned about is if you have a GPU, set it, and then where you want it to be stored. So if I were to click on that, I was going to try to open it and see if I could see where it goes, but I know it goes to D drive, Davinci completed project, and that's going to be classroom. So I'm going to add one just to show you how to do it. And as I said, Davinci high school yearbook project. So I don't want that in there. I just want this to go, I want to go back one. So I want it to go here. And then as you see, I have several folders already in here. So we're going to create a new one. We're going to create a folder, and we're going to call this Mr. Warren's Tech Class. I'm going to dumb it down for myself. I'm going to double click it, and then I'm going to click it, and I'm going to click select folder right down here in the lower right hand corner. And I'm selecting the folder. So now I have two locations. That will play into effect here in a moment, I am quite sure. I've never tried this before. I'm learning this as I go along, so I'm still a newbie at it in many respects. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And we're back to Untitled Project. Now, this is your basic Davinci Resolve. You have your media pool, you have your effects, I don't know what index is, and a sound library if you've got music or sound bites you want to put in whenever. To do anything, you have to have something in your media pool. You cannot do anything unless you have something in the media pool. Now, I have kind of prepped a little bit, and I went and grabbed some things that I'm going to use. So what I want to do is, there's two ways you can do this. You can right click, import media, not bin. I have some bins, but that's advanced. We'll get into that maybe later down the road, depending on how well this goes. So you want to import media. So you click on import media. Then you have to go find your location of your media. Or you can cheat. Well, let me finish this way first. So I know this is in D drive Davinci, daily Davinci data. So I'm going to go back a level. And then I'm going to go back another level. and I'm going to go into Davinci Daily Davinci Data, which is that's in, where's that at? Oh, right here, special folder. So now I can drag these in. I'm going to highlight it, click open, and that puts it in there. It takes a second for it to populate or get there, and now it's there. The other way you can do this is if you have a second monitor, or if you have a single monitor, you can learn how to run your mouse, not like I do. You can actually come in here to your monitor, grab this and drag it over into your media pool, let go of it, and it's right there. Or you can do this. To delete it, you highlight it, backspace it. The other way you can do this is you can grab two at one time, drag them over here at the same time, and it puts them both in there. You can do that with anything you want. If you want a video, which is in a movie or an MP4 or whatever the extension is, again, drag and drop it, or just bring it in however you want. So I'll bring it in, but we're not going to work with it, I don't think. So we're done with that. I'm going to get that out of the way, and I'm actually going to minimize that. I don't want it. Now, great. So far, we've OBS to broadcast on YouTube. We've shown you how to get Davinci Resolve, download to your computer, install it, set it up, and now we're going to work with Davinci Resolve. And I've got about 18 minutes left to bore you with this, and or maybe inspire you with this, or maybe entertain, which is kind of the goal here. So what do we do now? We got all this in there. What do we do now? Well, I'm big on stills. And this is a still. This has no animation. This has nothing going on whatsoever. It's just a still. If we hit the play button right here, it's going to sit there and not do anything. As opposed to if we bring the video down, and I'm going to disconnect the audio because I don't want the audio. And if I hit play, it's a video. It plays. We have still, video. Pretty common. Pretty easy to understand. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this. Oh, by the way, if you do what I do and you put something over here and you hit play, you can hit play by pressing the space bar. That's what I just did. When it gets to the end, it's going to go through all this right here until it gets over here, because Davinci knows that's over there. And we can speed that along by bringing this to about right there. And once it finds it, it's going to play it. And you can hear the audio now, or maybe you can hear the audio. So we're going to delete that. Now, how do I get rid of that video? Because I don't want to work with the video. Well, you can right click on it, or you can left click on it, and then hit the backspace. It's gone. And because I don't have them linked, they go one at a time. If you click the link button right here, then it's supposed to move, which it did, at one time. So if it's highlighted and you hit backspace, it'll go away. Now, it used to be if you highlighted it and hit the delete button. Okay, they fixed that. That's good. It used to be when you hit the delete button, it would get rid of everything. And by everything, I mean everything. So let's grab another still. Put that right there. And let's grab the last still and put it right there. So we have 3 stills. If we scrub through this or play through it, it's just going to change from there to there. Actually, this one should be last, because it says, that's all, folks. Roadrunner fan from when I was a child. So, basic. What can we do with this? Well, we can, as long as you're on the frame or your source you want to be on, you have all kind of things you can do. You go up here to your inspector, which if the inspector is not on, you just find the word inspector in the upper right hand corner, click on it, and it opens up what is known as the inspector. This is where the quote unquote magic happens. So I'm on it. I can tell that because of the red box around it. I'm going to zoom this down, and it's gone. Well, it's not gone. It's just not there. So Oh, I don't like that. Double click the word zoom and it's back to normal. So you're asking yourself, well, what's the advantage of this, or how can you make this work? So I'm going to show you a basic thing, which is known as keyframing, to show animation. This is a still picture, but we're going to animate. We're going to make this move. So we're going to go to the beginning of our keyframe. We're going to take and bring this all the way down to 0. And we're going to set a keyframe on the zoom. It's set to 0. At the beginning of this picture, it's not going to show because it's at 0. Then we're going to go to the end. You can do this several ways. You can drag your playhead to the end, or you can come up here and go to the end this way. We're going to grab the zoom and we're going to bring it back to, I don't know why it's not working. I'm going to double click on the zoom. Oh, wait, let me go back just a tad, I think. I don't know. Again, this isn't rehearsed. This isn't scripted. This is basically live, but recorded. I'm going to double click the word zoom and it magically appears. Now we're going to go to the beginning. We're going to hit the space bar to play it and it zooms in. It's animated. It's moving. It's kind of like a still video, if you will. And when it gets to the end, right here, it's going to stop. It can't go no farther. It shouldn't have went back. I didn't tell it to go back. So this is a problem. And as you can see, it's going to go try to find this. So I want to stop that. So let's go back to the beginning. Let's figure out what I did wrong. So let's do away with the keyframe. To do away with the keyframe, a couple ways you can do it. You can double click on that and bring it back. And it should have gotten rid of it. It didn't. So you go to the keyframe. You click on it, go to the arrow next to it to go to the next keyframe, click on it to the next keyframe, click on it. When the diamond gets back to gray, it's gone. So if I go back to the beginning, because the zoom is there at 0, it's not there. If I double click, it's back to this. So we're going to try this again. We're going to zoom this all the way out to 0. We're going to set a keyframe. I'm going to go to the end right here, and I'm going to move that back to there so that I know it's kind of on the picture itself. And we're going to zoom this out to 1, and it automatically sets the keyframe. You'll notice I did not have to reset that keyframe. It's automatic. So if we go back to the beginning and we hit play, it's going to zoom out slowly. Got 11 minutes. Hopefully I get into the next phase of this. I may just skip forward on this and just show you guys what I want to show you. By the way, Mr. Warren, thank you for giving me the opportunity to show this to your class. So because these are there, it's going to go through all this to try to find those. So here we go. We've animated this. What if we wanted to animate it? What if at this point right here, we wanted to rotate this a little bit? You can take your pitch and skew it around. You can take your yaw and skew it around. And I use this quite a bit. To put it back, you can either hit the reset button right here, or you can just double click on pitch, double click on that. We're good to go. You can scroll down here and find all your settings on what you want to change, but I don't see the one that I want, so I gotta go find it. But that's it. That's kind of advanced too. Rotation angle right here is to rotate it. So we'll put it back to square one. We'll bring it down just a little bit and we'll hit play. I'm going to stop it right there. I'm going to set me a keyframe at a negative 128, set the keyframe. I'm going to play it forward just a few frames. I'm going to grab this, I'm going to rotate it. Automatically, if you'll notice, set the keyframe. Going to play it a little bit more, bring it a little bit more, set the keyframe a little bit more, Set the keyframe a little bit more, and I'm gonna go way back here. That should super spin. I'm thinking really pretty fast. So I'm gonna go to I'm gonna go to here. Now I'm going to set this to the middle by double clicking this. Now we're gonna replay that, and we have more animation. There we go. And I knew that would be rather quick because I've moved it rather quick. And then when it gets there, it'll stop and go back to its original position. Perfect. Now I'm going to go ahead and delete these. I'm not going to work with those today. So because I deleted those, it now stops because there's nothing out here for it to find. So that's basic. That's your basics. You added a media. Oh, and by the way, if you want to get rid of media, highlight it with the red box, backspace, and it's gone. And I'm not going to work with video today. I want to stick with stills. So that's cool. Now you're asking yourself, well, how did I get that? Well, it's the same principle, except I added the text. To add text, you open up your effects tab. You come down to titles. You have a text node, which is basic, and you have text plus, which gives you a lot more options to animate it and have fun with it and do all kind of cool things with it. I am a big proponent of text plus. You drag it, put it over your timeline, and because I have everything set to 15 seconds, it'll automatically be at 15 seconds. So if I take this back, you'll notice that there is text there. To change the text, you can bring it over here, put your cursor over there so you can see it, go back to your inspector, and again, if the inspector is not highlighted, just go right here to the inspector, click on it one time, left click, and it opens up the inspector. So in the first tab is text, layout, transform, shading, image, and settings. We want to start with text, and we want to change this text to, I'm big on when I work with text, leaving all caps, Mr. Warren, technology class. And there it is. You can change the color right here. You can change the font right here. Whatever font you want, you can scroll through here and get the cool fonts, whatever you want. I like this one up here. I got this one right here. It's called A Dripping Marker. And I use it for Halloween. Because what I do is, to me, it looks like there's things dripping. And then when you change the color, and I always move my color palette off to the side. Because a cool thing about Davinci is when you change the color, you can see it as it's changing it. And I found other programs don't have that. This to me is just fantastic. So we want this to be blood, and I think that looks cool. So we hit OK, and now we have a color set. Cool. Or you can do this actually. You can come over here and you can grab this eyedropper right here and drag it over to, well, generally you can drag it over to the color you want. Of course, it's not going to work because I wanted to show that it worked. That's interesting. Let me highlight that. Can't do that because I want to change the color. I got 5 minutes to go. Grab the eyedropper, and it's not working. Figures. No worries. Bring us back over here and resize this a little bit. You can change your size, bigger, smaller, whatever. You can also animate your text. To change your font, click in the font. You can type in, I typed in an O, and it took me down to the O's. You can just go in here and find something you think is really cool. Let's go with, and I wish I had feedback, I don't. If you like what you see, go to my page and comment on this video. And if you have requests, I'll do my best to figure out how to do whatever you're requesting. Let's go with that one. That one looks kind of neat. So now we've changed that. Let's change the color. And you don't have to move this. I just do. I'm going to go with blue. That looks kind of cool. So now you'll notice here we have the Davinci logo, and here we have that. So if we put that over that, that's going to show up there. Now it's in the foreground, and we don't want that. So you click on your box, and you go to layout. And in the layout, you have actually go to transform. And we're going to move this. Oh, why didn't that work? Interesting. Oh, that was the pivot. Go back to layout. I do this all the time, actually. We're going to move it up and down on the y-axis. You have the x-axis, which is left to right, horizontal. And you have the y-axis, which is up and down, vertical. Click that. We're going to go back temporarily to here, and we're going to change the size down just a little bit to right there. Then we're going to go back to layout right here. We're going to move it straight up and put it right there. Cool. Now we can change this by going to type, and you have frame, circle, or path. Path is exactly what it is. You can set a path and have that follow the path. Circle just changes it to here, and then if you bring it down, you can do that, which if you think about it, that looks an awful lot like that. And this I got in my fonts. I like the font. I actually have this animated where this spins. This is just a JPEG. We'll get to that maybe one of these days. I really hope there's a part 2 and part 3 and part 4 and everything else. Now, you don't have to move this over to work with it. I just like doing it because that way I know I'm actually working with this. When you have a circle, excuse me, when you have a circle, when you mess with the size, what happens with the size is it'll actually try to complete the circle. So you have to remember that. And then to move it around, you go into the layout, and then you just do this. See how it looks. You do that. And that I can't make that out because that's into that, so I don't really like that. Go back over here to layout, or go into text and bring the size down. Get just a little bit of separation there. Like that. Okay, cool. And again, you can animate this however you want. It's the same principle. If you want to go to the beginning of your frame or your beginning of your still, and you want to animate 0.126 is my final size. I'm going to animate this I go to where I want it to be, take it down to 0. I'm going to go to the end. Bring it back into the picture. I know I want it to be 0.0126. Hit that. And why is it really super small? Did I not put that in the right place? Oh, let's just go see. I got 49 seconds. So we may be ending this rather quickly. Did it go back to a point? I think it did. No, it's animated in there. It's actually showing up. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this over here. Play this from the beginning. Okay, lastly, let's fix that real quick. So if you make a mistake, highlight it, put your playhead over it. Control Z is your friend. Now it's gone. It never happened. If I do that, well, it should have been. Oh, I got to bring the size back up. There we go. Maybe I had the size wrong. I thought it was 0.1. Okay, anyway, no big deal. There's the alarm. So I got about a minute and a half. I always shortchange my alarms, and I'm going to shut that off. So here's what we do. We got everything we want done. We are Going to move this back over here, and we're going to say, okay, this looks cool. I like that. I've learned something, I hope. Now I want to save this as a MP4 because I have animation. You come over here to your last tab, which is called they call it the rocket. You click on that. And what this is a render tab. You're going to render this out. You make a name for it. And again, this is going to be Mr. Warren's Tech Class. Go to a location. And you'll remember in the beginning, we made a new location. It's alphabetical. So I got to go into Davinci. I have to go into Davinci completed projects, I think is where I put it. And then I want to go find Mr. Warren, I believe is where I put it. And it doesn't look like I put it there. So I'm not real sure where I put it. I mean, I know it's there. I just got to go find it. And I do that by going to here. I don't see it in there because it's alphabetical. Go back one. Wow, pretty cool. Can't find it. Imagine that. If you watch me long enough, you'll know this is normal. This is nothing new. So because I want to get this done, I'm going to go into Davinci. I'm going to go into my completed projects. I'm going to one more time make sure I didn't miss it. And I don't think I did. There's John JPEG, map, animation. Nope, don't see it. So I'm going to just put this in. Did I put it in class reunion project? Maybe. It's a good possibility. I will throw this in Alex's birthday. That'll be easy to remember. So now I have my location. I have the name. And I'm going to change it, the format to MP4. Then you have to come down here to the bottom and hit add to render. It throws it up here. I'd never move this back. I just hit render all. Probably 2 or 3 seconds on this render. There's nothing to this. Yeah, boom, done. So now we go into see what the render looks like. We do that by going to our D drive. We go into Davinci. We go into completed projects. We put it in Alex. Now there's a couple ways I know it's there. You can see it in the background, so I'm cool. So we grab that, Mr. Warren's Tech Class, MP4. We hit play, and there it is. So that concludes today's Daily Davinci Debacle. I hope some of you found this to be entertaining. I hope some of you learned something. I hope some of you are inspired to maybe start video editing. On part 2, I'll explain to you how I ended up getting into doing this. And it's a pretty interesting story, actually. So I'm going to go ahead and end this. Thank you, Mr. Warren, for letting me talk to your class. I appreciate it. I hope this was useful. Have a great day.